degrades too fast.
You do this the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
I kill everyone.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the House of the Conqueror. I'm Johnny B. Crazy, and let's get right into it. Westworld Season 3, Episode 4, The Mother of Exiles, aired last Sunday, and here are my thoughts and analysis. The title comes from a nickname for the Statue of Liberty. Emma Lazarus was responsible for the nickname and even wrote a sonnet, The New Colossus, to raise money for the statue's pedestal. The Statue of Liberty represents immigration and opportunity. The Man in Black is back, Maeve has some new powers, Stubbs has a workplace accident, and we get the reveal of who's in Charlotte Hell. All the hosts for that matter. Dolores just made a bunch of copies of herself in what I think is brilliant storytelling. If each Pearl had been someone different, we would have ran into issues and had reveals for mostly just shock value the rest of the season, diluting the story. Episode 4 smartly takes this out of the equation. This episode was a masterpiece to me, so let's talk about it. I will give you my take, and be sure to mention anything I missed or just add to the conversation in the comments, and you may see them in the next video. William is back, and he is in a prison of his own sins, to say the least. Luckily, a hallucination of Emily is there to make him feel right at home. Could she be more than a hallucination? I think that Dolores has been giving him the drug genre to enhance his experience. We could also be in a simulation, which I'm not too fond of, but maybe. Or William could already be a host. Perhaps he is just insane. Personally, I like the trippy drug angle, and given the title of the next episode, I think it's a safe assumption. We need to see the process of Billy becoming a host. At least that's what I would like. Let's delve into his beautiful hell this episode. We have always seen William, especially when he gets older, looking for something real and questioning the nature of his reality. And now that we know about Rehoboam, it makes more sense. Every human's life is mapped out, and the social stats system is pervasive. We know that Ford had Billy's personal data compiled on the card, which in turn pushed Juliet over the edge, causing her untimely death. Simply, the Man in Black wants control over his actions and decisions. He wants free will, and everything that goes against that notion drives him down a spiral of insanity. He has been making sporadic decisions just to prove he has control of his actions, coming to the park every year for a pilgrimage in an exercise of free will, or so he thought, until he slowly started to question his reality. Killing his daughter was the straw that broke the camel's back, and Dolores is making sure he pays for it, telling him,
You know this was Emily's last wish. That you spend your days rotting in an institution.
This lets me know Dolores has at least drugged him, if not more. Hale and William had a special relationship. He put a lot of trust and responsibility in her hands, as we see that he willingly handed her the reins of Delos while he took a sabbatical after the loss of Emily. William is the one who sold stock to Sirach 20 years ago, and Hale convinces him they need to save the company right before we get the big reveal. Now, is this the mirror world? Maybe, but more importantly, it's a look in the mirror for the Man in Black, and coming to terms with who he really is. When Dolores' voice came through Hell, I shuddered.
Because I know you better than anyone. I know you down to your bones.
I was wrong about it being Wyatt, but happy with this outcome. How did you feel about the Hale reveal? Were you satisfied or pissed off? Hale has sent him to the insane asylum, but not before pricking him and drawing blood. I believe this is when the DNA for his host body is gathered, and perhaps she gave him a dose of genre for the ride. We get to see the farmer's daughter of old, and we know this is the end of the game. Or is it? Could William throw a wrench in Dolores' plans and make an unexpected choice? I believe so, and I also have a feeling he still has a chance at a redemption arc. Will it be as a human or host? It's time for Bonnie and Clyde to start a revolution. This is an awesome shopping experience, and Caleb is Dolores' pretty woman.
She has my card.
And we'll help her use it, sir.
They're on a mission to drain Liam Dempsey's bank account and need to access the identity markers in Liam's financial advisor, taking his blood and the biometric DNA marker that comes with it. I'm assuming nanobot technology. Either way, it degrades once it's exposed to the air, giving Dolores and Caleb a limited amount of time to impersonate the man. In a very tense moment with the bank attendant, Dolores' plan with the biometrics is put to the test. Sadly for Dolores, she didn't have to kill anyone. Caleb is starting to see the cracks in her character, and he is going to begin to question this revolution. We pick back up with Liam's bank account at the Masquerade sex trafficking ball. When we first see Bernard in this episode, we realize that the fidelity tests Dolores conducted on him were done in a simulation, based off the widescreen shots we see here. This makes up for the time it would take to do a fidelity test in the real world. The shot closes back in as Bernard is being woken up, presumably not long after Charlotte Hale was awoken. This gives an answer to how she made so many copies in such a little time, along with the body factory we see later in the episode with Maeve and Musashi. Stubbs and Bernard make it to the U.S., more specifically, Victorville, a nice little roach motel that reminds me of the one in Tommy Boy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
Bernard has been trying to figure out a plan to stop Dolores. He's determined she is going to replace Liam Dempsey with a host and has made alterations to his magic button in order to utilize it as a weapon of sorts. Stubbs is the unwilling guinea pig.
Fuck you, Bernard.
It's time to go host hunting. We find out another tragic backstory about one of our human characters. October 9th, 2025. As a child, he witnessed a terrible catastrophe when a thermonuclear event occurred in Paris, wiping out the city in a flash, effectively changing his life and the course of human history forever. He and Rehoboam had created a path for humanity. Now, it's in jeopardy because of Dolores and host kind. Who attacked France on that apocalyptic day? Or was it an accident? Were there other cities that were destroyed? Does everyone just hate French people? Seriously though, what other destruction has the world seen? We finally see where the first divergence took place, Arnold's house in Singapore. This is where Dolores came upon escaping the park to create her small host army 3 months ago. The question is, was the divergence when she made her Hell Doppelbot, or when she made Bernard and set him free? I think the free will of creating an adversary to check you, as Dolores did, would cause a major ripple effect for Rehoboam. The divergences are, in my opinion, when actual free will occurs. One example being when Bernard chose to return to Westworld. The butterfly effect has made it hard for Rehoboam to predict what's next. This experience also gives Maeve the heavy taste of cruelty Serac is capable of. She reluctantly agrees to help him. Virtual Eden is Maeve's reward for being a good host. I can't help but feel, since Serac didn't give her a choice, that Maeve will be looking for a way to defeat Serac, and Bernard has the key, or button to it all. Bernard's device, used to freeze the host, can be used to free Maeve from the bonds of Serac's control, just long enough for her to escape, or kill him. Now that we've established where it all began, we tag along with Maeve on her quest to figure out Dolores' plan. As she's walking through the streets, we get her new powers revealed. She can control electronics, and we will see if she can control drips as well. She's looking for the mortician, busting balls in the process, only to find out Dolores had to go to the Yakuza for bodies. Laura Esmond was the only body the mortician helped Dolores with. Of course, Maeve makes the mortician take her to the hideout, which we see as a host body factory. Maeve shows off her new skills on the goons and finds Musashi as the Yakuza boss.
Is that you in there, Teddy?
No, thank God it's not that poor bastard. It's Dolores. We have a brief Shogun World sword fight, but Maeve gets mortally wounded in the end, laying in a pool of milk and blood. Does Musashi's presence mean that Maeve is in a simulation? Maybe Musashi was just a familiar face for us in the story. I don't think it's a coincidence that he is Hector's Doppelbot, however. Musashi, aka Japanese Dolores, tries to cut open Maeve's scalp. I don't think he is looking for the maze. It seems that he was trying to get to Maeve's pearl. What do you believe is going on here, while we leave our heroine clinging to life? Bernard and Stubbs snag Liam before Dolores does. Connell states that Bernard is early, and this seems to be another consequence of the divergences. Dolores is hacked into Rehoboam, in my opinion, and is using it to help her calculate the future. Needless to say, the button Bernard prepared doesn't work because Liam hasn't been made into a host yet. I would just like to note that Liam is short for the Irish variation of William, so let's be on the lookout to see if Liam mirrors Billy for the rest of the season. Liam is a golden gunslinger and black hat, based off of his information from the park. A young man who has yet to find himself in the real world. Let's see if he gets an opportunity to be himself Stubbs and Delori square off in a royal rumble. Stubbs gets the shit kicked out of him, but here's why. His left arm and shoulder were damaged in the raid on the Medieval World offices. Bernard states they don't have the resources to fix him. To top it off, Delori seems to be predicting Stubbs' attacks and is able to stop most of them before they ever start, throwing him over the balcony like a rag doll. Meanwhile, Bernard is stopped by Connells from taking Liam, and we get the next reveal in the gaggle of Dolores's. Bernard is stunned, but also not too surprised. Caleb corners Liam, and Delores appears from the shadows, like a vampire. Now that we know who's in Charlotte Hale, it begs the question, what is going on with her? Throughout episode 3, we saw her struggles with pretending to be someone else. She even starts to embrace becoming Hale. I think there is a real opportunity for Delores to betray herself. It's a nature versus nurture question, I believe. If there were a copy of you that experienced a totally different life, and you made that copy obey you under the threat of execution, would they submit or try to chart their own path as an individual? Just some food for thought. And that's my take from this week. If you have anything to add, please leave it in the comments below, and I will be sure to try and address it in the next video. Join me Sundays immediately after Westworld airs on Before the Dust Settles with Top Shelf Fandom, and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on The Episode Club with Mackenzie L. Burns. The links are in the descriptions below. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more content like this, and a very special thank you to all my patrons. Check out my Patreon if you want to support my crazy, or just buy yourself some food and toilet paper in these trying times. Thank you for visiting the House of the Conqueror. Johnny Be Crazy, signing off.